Good afternoon. Where do I start? Right. In the process of building another Rover V8 3.5 engine, which I've already got one in my lovely car here, I started that about 6 years ago. It's done about 4,500 miles now. Still running great. But when I first did that engine, I was a complete novice to it, still am, but I just literally had a Haynes manual, eBay, bought as many cheap parts as possible within a budget, just to see if I could actually get the engine to run, let alone the conversion itself, which was a mammoth project for one person. But I did all right with it. So, you move on to new projects once you've got one done, and just keep up the information that you've got and you find, and just have an interest in it and keep going. So this is a book by Des Hamill, How to Power Tune Your Rover V8. Now, what got me sort of up to this stage now was the suggestion of fitting the whole hydraulic lifter assembly and all the rest of it. And as we all know, a lot of the hydraulic or parts or rocker shafts or anything to do with the Rover V8 engine now, there's a lot of aftermarket stuff, which is cheap, which generally means it's a bit crap, but sometimes even expensive can still mean aftermarket, poor quality materials being used to for the supplying of the parts for these engines. So in this book, it suggested about using Skendrian 202 HY anti-pump hydraulic lifters, which, it's a 40-year-old design in these lifters themselves. So I went ahead and purchased a set of these with very little knowledge of course, is the preload, which is a bit difficult to do with the Rover V8 because it hasn't got any adjustable rocker arms. So you have to use shims on the pedestals. So this led me down a rabbit warren of ideas and lack of knowledge to try and, use this application in the new build that I'm doing. Like a lot of things, you've done it once before, you start putting a bit more investment into the next thing that you might do. You get a bit more confident with yourself. But information was very difficult to find about how these can work in a Rover V8. There's a small post on the V8 Owners Club. Someone mentioned about they've used them before, but little information on them. But it did suggest that you've got to use a different kind of push rod, which I couldn't find. And then it turned out that the cup size on the Skendrian ones are a smaller cup size compared to the standard hydraulic lifter on a Rover V8. So this has taken me nearly a year to get to this stage of some newfound information that has come to my attention now. So what they're saying here is Skendrian recommends adjusting them between 20 and 30 thou. Now, I found that pretty much impossible to get that with the shimming ideas, the different it's the different lengths that the rocker shafts, the rocker arms, I should say, allow you to do. Just discrepancies within the block, the engine, the cylinder heads. So as always, in the right preload for, like, let's say exhaust, and then I'd lose it on the inlet. So I couldn't get a uniformed sort of measurement across all the lifters. So after giving it to the engine to engineering companies, they really didn't want to get involved with it. because of the lack of information about it all. So I finally decided to change my approach and just go down the standard route sort of way of the hydraulic lifters and using the push rods and then doing the preloads with the shims on the pedestals. So I spoke to Real Steel about it and thinking that they always sell the best quality that they can get hold of and pass it on to the likes of us who are trying to do this sort of work. And they said they've stopped selling the hydraulic lifters now because they've got a stock which they're keeping to sell with their own camshafts. And in the future, because of the quality control of a lot of this stuff is not reliable, they're now saying that they're probably going to start using Chevy lifters in the builds that I think they do from now on, because they can get good quality parts from America. That seems to be the only sort of way of going about it now. So this then led me into talking to them about, well, I was thinking about using Iskandrian lifters, which are a Chevy lifter or an Oldsmobile or a Pontiac sort of style lifter. And they said, yeah, we've heard of these ourselves, and they are probably going to use this sort of lifter from now on. So here's my story about it all, and I'm just putting it on YouTube just to see if anyone can get any information from it. I'm still learning about the whole application myself, but anyway, if it's a watch that could be useful to you, then I'm happy to share it. Thanks.